What's good? It's Woog. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. Drake just dropped Certified Lover Boy. This is his first album since Scorpion, which was released in 2018. And usually between Drake albums, he'll have like a full-length project that might as well be an album, but it's called a mixtape in the case of If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, which came out between Nothing Was the Same and Views, and then More Life, which was technically considered a playlist, and that came out between Views and Scorpion. Well, there were a couple like 2-track EPs and other songs, a lot of features. Drake's always, featuring on some of the best songs of the summers leading into his album releases. So, the recent songs that he had with Lil Durk and even on the Migos Cold 3 album are more examples of that. Well, Certified Lover Boy came out just a few days after Kanye West finally released Donda. And look, I know a lot of people are going to want to get into Certified Lover Boy because of the Kanye West disses, but there's a lot to unpack with this album in general, and we'll get into some of that right now. Now, this is a very long album. This is only a couple minutes shorter than Scorpion, which was a double album. So, a lot of people didn't like that Donda was an extremely long album, and this is almost as long as Donda. But yeah, let's get right into it. Now, Drake, in my opinion, has pretty much been the king of the track ones. Like, Drake does a ton of stuff well. I mean, he's got more chart toppers than just about anybody, or at least more, top 40, top 20 type songs, largely because we're in the streaming era, so you can release an album with 25 songs and theoretically all 25 of those songs can land on the Billboard charts. Whereas when Tupac released the single for How Do You Want It, the How Do You Want It single included How Do You Want It, California Love, two of America's Most Wanted, and Hit 'Em Up. So those 4 songs were packaged on one single that you would buy as a single, and Tupac only gets credit for one #1 song. So it's not apples to apples here. But Drake has had immense chart success. All of his albums go #1. His mixtapes and playlists also go #1. You can argue that he might be the greatest artist of the past 10 years. Any genre, like it would be a short list that might include, I don't know, Taylor Swift. You get what I'm saying? Like Drake is up there. But to me, the real magic in Drake's abilities, I mean, look, the fact that he could sing kind of like set him apart from the rest of the rap world. It was almost unfair at that point that you could like sing lead vocal on your own song. Hold On, We're Coming Home. Find Your Love on Drake's, major label debut. Drake's got countless songs. Controller, like a lot of songs where he's just singing and that could hit #1 on the charts. Hotline Bling, you get what I'm saying? But I've always come to the party, the Drake party, for the lyrical songs. Like, remember when he did that 2-piece Scary Hours 1, the first Scary Hours 2 song thing, where he had God's Plan, another one where you could sing your way to a #1 hit? But then he had a song called Diplomatic Immunity. I come for the Diplomatic Immunity, where Drake just will take 4, 3, 5 minutes and just black out. Sometimes there's a chorus, sometimes there's no chorus, and Drake just gets super barred out with a very minimalist instrumental. So we're talking Survival from Scorpion, track 1, Tuscan Leather, that song that switches up beats from Nothing Was the Same. Drake is kind of the king of these track ones, and I mean, there are exceptions. He doesn't start all of his projects with a super lyrical track 1, like that one where I'll Die a Legend, which was track 1 on If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. On that album or mixtape, it would be You and the Six, which would be like one of those super lyrical songs that I'm talking about with Drake's intro to Certified Lover Boy, which is champagne poetry. That's a perfect example of Drake just blacking out and just kind of coming in and giving you his lifestyle and life checkup. He does this like on every project where he takes 5 minutes, lets you know how he views things, what his experiences have been, how he's interpreting them. And he just says a whole bunch of super clever stuff where you just can rewind it back 10 times like, damn, what the hell did he just say? Well, there's a ton of that on Champagne Poetry, track 1. Papa's Home, or Poppy's Home, like, it's more for the ladies. Like, I get it. It's not really for me, but I get that that's one of those songs that's going to lead to the success of this album. Girls Want Girls, featuring Lil Baby. That's a really good song. I think I could hear that one played on the radio and played just about anywhere you want to play it. Like, it's featuring Lil Baby, and like the chorus, it's just one of those that has instant replayability. And then In the Bible, featuring Lil Durk and Giveon. Not one of my favorite songs on the album, but I get that some people will like it. The following song is Love All, featuring Jay-Z. Jay-Z just also featured on Donda, so we're getting 2 Jay-Z features on high profile albums. Well, if I had to compare the Jay-Z verse on Donda versus the one on Certified Lover Boy, the one on Certified Lover Boy I think is a lot better. Even though he's got the line about, no more red cap, time to come home. This one on Love All, I'm not going to say it's vintage Jay, because if you want to hear vintage Jay more agile with the bars, listen to Reasonable Doubt or, Nigga What, Nigga Who. But Jay-Z brings it here. He says a lot of things. He mentions someone trying to kill him like twice in one verse. What's up with that? He says a lot of things that some are interpreting as shots fired at Kanye. Well, I didn't really take it as such, but I could see what they're saying with some of them. Pretty good song overall, Love All. Don't love the song, but it's pretty good. The next song, Fair Trade, featuring Travis Scott. I had said this about Kanye West and Donda and featuring The Weeknd on Hurricane track 5, a pretty good song from Donda. When you feature The Weeknd, it's kind of hard to just feature The Weeknd without that song then kind of sounding like a Weeknd song. Well, I kind of think that Travis Scott's a little bit in the same way, because beats that Travis Scott's on, and he co-produces this Fair Trade song. His ad-libs, the ominous tone to his beats, it's very, very Travis Scott. So yeah, this Fair Trade song sounds almost like a Travis Scott song featuring Drake, which, that works too, right? Sicko Mode. So yeah, I like Fair Trade, but the next song, Way Too Sexy, featuring Future and Young Thug. Now that song I think is going to be seen as one of the best songs from this album. That song is kind of irresistible. Future just comes in, just owns the chorus, just kills it. Young Thug has a verse at the end of the song, and only Young Thug could do those Young Thuggish things with his voice. There are a lot of people who are kind of being labeled, Anthony Fantano from Needle Drop put it, he lists like Lil Baby and Gunna as kind of being like disciples or the offspring of Young Thug style. And there's a lot of talk about who really pioneered this type of trap style. Some will point to the variation that Migos introduced. Some will point to, Future as far back as the Pluto and Honest albums. Those are before the Monster and Beast Mode and, mixtapes and DS2s. Early Future kind of pioneering this type of trap style. Well, 2013, 2014, Young Thug really started making a name for himself, and his voice is such a unique instrument that even those who emulate or have similar styles cannot reach the highs and the lows and just the eccentricities and idiosyncrasies of Young Thug. It's a very unique thing that Young Thug does vocally, and he does it here on Way Too Sexy. Again, this song, to me, by the time you get to this song, track 7, this is the best song on the album, besides maybe Champagne Poetry. If you're like me and you really love the lyrics, to me, Champagne Poetry is one of the absolute best on the album, because I'm kind of biased towards the overly lyrical stuff, but also Girls Want Girls. So Girls Want Girls, Way Too Sexy, both irresistible in my opinion. Now, TSU, after that, I could kind of do without. It's an interesting song. He kind of gets into like the very much for the ladies part of the album, because between this one, the next song called In Too Deep with Future, and then Pipe Down, all 3 of those songs are more or less for the ladies. He does kind of vary it up in theme and concepts with his bars. Like, he's talking about some different things. It's not all one lane, but the style of the song, style of beat, the pace of the song, some of the singing in the song, this trio of songs is very much kind of that segment. Not that it ends after that or there's not any before that, like Girls Want Girls and Poppy's Home, right? You're going to get a good amount of that with every Drake album. This one's no different, but yeah, this just happens to be a song after song after song part of the album. So for me, this part kind of slows down when you get into TSU, In Too Deep, Pipe Down, and even Yeba's Heartbeat. Again, I'm not the target demo for these types of songs, but I'm sure they're going to have success in their respective lanes. And there are some very excellent bars, raps in some of these songs too. But it's the next song, track 12, No Friends in the Industry. Drake is it reminds me of Nonstop a little bit. Remember that? Track 2, disc 1 on Scorpion. His flow is a little bit similar on No Friends in the Industry. I've seen some critics kind of criticize that a lot of the songs feel like retreads or kind of repeats of older songs. I disagree for some reasons. I get what they're saying. Like the chemistry between 40 Shabib, the producer, and Drake is like undeniable, and it carries from album to album. So Drake definitely has a audio aesthetic, a sonic palette that he prefers. By the way, totally unrelated, but the beginning of Champagne Poetry starts out with a Beatles sound sample from Michelle from Rubber Soul. Shout out to the Fab Four, man. Liverpool's finest. But No Friends in the Industry sounds a little like Nonstop, and some of the best bars to me on this album are on that song, No Friends in the Industry, especially like the second verse, I believe, on that song. Oh my gosh, like I had to take like a little audio sample and send it to like 50 different people like at 5 a.m. this morning as I'm listening to this thing. Like, you gotta hear this. No Friends in the Industry, phenomenal. Love that track. That's just one of those you could ride to, you could run to, jog, work out, go to the club. Like, this is just one of those, like, you just want to throw the shades on and you're like ready to go, be on notice. No Friends in the Industry, one of the absolute highlights of this album. Knife Talk, it's a Metro Boomin beat. I don't love this song. I appreciate that Project Pat, the Memphis legend, is on here. 21 Savage is on here as well. But it's just, the chorus, the verses, is the beat. I like a lot of Metro's beats. He's got some of the finest beats of this past, couple eras. But I just don't see this one as being a winner to the degree of like Ric Flair Drip or Mask Off, Mask On. You know what I mean? And this, I believe, is actually Metro Boomin's only beat on this album, right? So, it's not like Drake albums usually feature a lot of Metro, but when you get Metro, you want to get like the best of Metro. I just don't know that this was that. It is spooky. The beat is spooky, but it's not vintage. It's not the best sounds I've heard Metro come together with. So that's Knife Talk. And by the way, speaking of producers, on this album, the biggest level up, in my opinion, is Ozan Yildirim, also known as Oz or OZ. Yildirim, by the way, or Yildirim, is a Turkish name. Canelo Alvarez boxing fans might remember he just fought somebody a few months ago named Avni Yildirim, also of Turkish descent, from Turkey. Ozan Yildirim, also known as Oz, he's from Switzerland, actually, but he's produced for Drake in spots. I think he had like one song on Views, track 3, You With Me? But here on Certified Lover Boy, he has several songs. And that last song that I was talking about, not Knife Talk, but No Friends in the Industry, is also produced by Oz. So by this point, Oz produced Girls Want Girls. He produced Love All featuring Jay-Z, produced or co-produced. And he produced No Friends in the Industry. That's 3 key contributions to Certified Lover Boy. So yeah, shout out to Oz, OZ. He did his thing on here. So Knife Talk, didn't love that, but the next song, 7 a.m. on Bridle Path. Bridle Path is like an upscale part of Toronto. Basically, any city that has a bridle path is usually a pretty affluent area within an area. So 7 a.m. on Bridle Path. I take these Drake songs to mean like 4 p.m. in Calabasas, just as a journal type of thing where you're just listing where you were when you wrote it or maybe recorded it, something like that. But 7 a.m. on Bridle Path, like, he sets Kanye West on fire. And this isn't the first time on this album where his shots sound like they're aimed at Kanye, but it's 7 a.m. on Bridle Path where he really, really puts his foot in it. Like, he says some things on here that you just can't take back. And wow, it just feels like, I'm sure he's got his reasons for doing so. It sounded like Kanye was about ready to maybe make peace, even though I took Kanye West's Pure Souls bars, a few of them, to kind of sound like he was challenging Drake to maybe a fight, but I could have misinterpreted that from, again, Kanye's Pure Souls on Donda. But you listen to 7 a.m. on Bridle Path on Certified Lover Boy, and it's like when Drake is in that, track 1 mode, Tuscan Leather, Champagne Poetry, Survival, when he's in that diplomatic immunity mode where he's just getting as insanely lyrical as he can, you don't want to be in his crosshairs. And because then you're marrying 2 worlds at that point. You're getting the super lyrical Drake, which, by the way, I don't think is the one who gets ghost written for. I think that there's a misconception with Drake and getting girls. I understand some people who have a zero tolerance opinion when it comes to that, and I get that. But the songs that Drake has help writing in are like 10 bands, 100 bands. Like, it's the songs where they have a trappish hook or something that can lend itself to radio. So yes, it does go into Drake's ability to make these radio-friendly hits. But where I don't think Drake is getting the help with the pen is when he's doing the most lyrical work. Because with MCs, you can tell based on what they're saying in the song and how they're saying it, when an artist is delivering from an author standpoint, like when those words are coming from the soul, the mind of the artist. And it's undeniably Drake when he gets into a certain mode. And again, this is just my takeaway. I don't know this to be fact, but that's my interpretation in terms of Drake's lyrical ability, the songs that he does truly pen the verses, and the ones where maybe he's getting some contributions to make something sound a little bit more trappy or current or whatever. Because nobody else is sounding like Drake. And I don't mean singing wise sounding like Drake, but I mean like authoring, like curating ideas and displaying them in the way that Drake does when he gets into this lyrical mode. And 7 a.m. on Bridle Path is just Kanye square in Drake's crosshairs, where Drake is as lyrical as he can be, and also now he's dissing you. Like, not saying your name, but he's dissing you. And this one is pretty tough, and it's very, very impressive. Drake, to me, is one of the better on-wax battle rappers I've heard in the past, like, 25 years. Like, you'd have to talk maybe, Eminem, 50 Cent when he was really in his let's kill Ja Rule mode, and Jay-Z and maybe Nas. It's a short list. And I get it. There are others. Cannabis, LL, Cameron when he was dissing Stan Spitz back in the day. And, countless others. There are a lot of people who diss people on tracks. But I'm just saying Drake is one of the absolute best at saying Pusha T, another one, saying the things that he knows will cut and cut deep. Like, Tupac, by the way, obviously, right? 7 a.m. in Bridle Path is just one of those moments like back to back where he just kind of saw somebody's head off with the lyrics, and he's not friendly about it, right? And it's not like he's just threatening violence. It's not like I'm going to rip you up in this many ways. He's talking about your life and lifestyle, and he's talking about what's going on between your ears, what's on your mind, and how you're conducting yourself. He basically puts a mirror to the person he's dissing, says, here, deal with it. And he does that here, and it's one of those. It's one of those. So after that, Race My Mind, Fountains featuring Thames, Get Along Better with Ty Dolla $ign, You Only Live Twice featuring Lil Wayne and Rick Ross, and then 3 more tracks is how he finishes this up. I didn't think it was the strongest finish, but I think I need to give this another couple listens. Here, I know this. The person who produces You Only Live Twice featuring Lil Wayne and Rick Ross, he goes by Bink, right? This is a veteran producer. He's not from the era of OZ, or even 40 Shabib, or even Boy Wonder, who for the first time in a long time isn't producing anything on this Drake album. And Drake and Boy Wonder have a huge past, several hits together, and even non-hits, just really good album tracks. And on Scorpion, a lot of No ID production. No ID was once Kanye West's mentor. He was the person who produced the first couple major Common albums, like One Day It'll All Make Sense or Resurrection. Before that, No ID was Common's dude for a couple albums. A legend, Chicago production legend. He produced a few things on Scorpion, didn't produce on here, but yeah, Boy Wonder's also absent from here. But Bink, the guy who produces that You Only Live Twice, is the guy who produced, if you remember, if you listen to Prodigy from Mobb Deep's debut solo album, Head Nigga in Charge, HNIC, there's a song on there called Rock That Shit. It's track 4. It's after Genesis, which takes a sample from that early Genesis, Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins taking over the lead vocals Genesis. Prodigy features that on Genesis, and then 2 songs later, there's a skit in between, and then he gets into Rock That Shit, one of the best songs on HNIC. Bink produced that. Bink produced All I Need on Jay-Z's Blueprint. I believe that was like track 11. It was the song, I think, right before Renegade, and right after maybe Never Change or Song Cry. But yeah, there's a song, All I Need, where he's like, listen off the things, All I Need, check, check. Blueprint, one of the greatest rap albums of all time, for sure. But yeah, Bink produced that. Bink produced this song with Lil Wayne and Rick Ross on Certified Lover Boy. Bink also produced Corrupts. If you remember the song, the album, The Streets is the Motherfucker. That's Corrupt's second solo album after Corruption, the double album, and it was after Dog Pound's Dog Food. The Streets is probably Corrupt's best solo album. Well, there's a song on there called Trilogy with a Y instead of a I believe. I think it's 2 Y's in that trilogy. I forgot. But Corrupt has a song called Trilogy. It's got a violin in it. At the time it came out, that was like a lot of like MCs, like one of their favorite tracks on the Streets album because of the way the violin just lent itself to dope verse making, and Corrupt blacked out, spazzed on that one. But yeah, Bink is one of the more underrated producers of the last, 20 something years. Really good producer. If you look him up, Bink, you can find his name under Bink often, or Bink with an exclamation point at the end. Look at his production credits. He's done a lot. And then Certified Lover Boy closes after the song Effing Fucking Fans, which is the second to last song on the album. Drake ends it off with The Remorse. And this is one of his lyrical exits from the album. Like, for instance, Drake does this sometimes. I was talking about Drake being like the king of the track ones, the way that he comes in super barred out. Well, sometimes he'll end an album with a killer verse too. He did it on with a killer track that's super lyrical. On Views, it was the title track called Views, and then on Certified Lover Boy, it's The Remorse. So it's another one of those Drake moments where he really gets into it. It's kind of like another one of those like lifestyle and life checkups. It's like therapy for Drake, but man, it just presents itself in some of the best lyrical moments. Jeez, man. This is a very good album. I guess that's what I want to say with this whole thing. To me, this is a very good album. I've already seen a lot of critics crushing it. It's getting a lot of 60s and 50s, basically saying we've seen Drake do all this stuff before. All I'm saying is, song by song, this one, yes, it's long, and yes, there are a few songs that I think it could have gone without. I didn't need Knife Talk. The song with Kid Cudi towards the end is pretty decent. Poppy's Home, I didn't think was necessarily necessary. TSU, same thing. So there's some songs that it didn't need, in my opinion, but there are a lot of songs that it did. There are a lot of really good songs here. And again, because Drake's able to vary it up so much, because he almost has like this magic cheat code because he could rap and sing. Unfair for MCs that can't sing, right? But the versatility allows for you to expand on the album because you're getting different types of songs. But there's enough insanely good lyrics for the lyric lovers, enough slowed down, evenly or mellow paced songs for people who enjoy that. This, to me, is a better album than Scorpion. It's probably a better album than Views in terms of consistency throughout the album. Again, like some of the best standout tracks to me: Champagne Poetry, Girls Want Girls, Way Too Sexy, No Friends in the Industry, 7 a.m. on Bridle Path. Maybe you only live twice, but maybe not. I just love the features. Both Rick Ross and Lil Wayne just spaz and deliver in their respective styles and ways. And then The Remorse, probably because it's, just my style of thing. But this might be Drake's best project since, if you're reading this, it's too late. Maybe even as far back as Take Care, which is kind of seen to be Drake's best album. That's the one that's heralded up when you see it on different lists. On the greatest albums of the 2010s or whatever, like that's usually the one that you'll see pop up on these lists. Great album. Take Care is really good. I think that this might be Drake's best album since that. Maybe it's recency bias. I'll go back and re-listen and see if it stands the test of time, but it's coming in hot. I really have a very favorable attitude towards this album. But yeah, I want to do another couple videos just discussing more about Drake's, versatility and some of the things that he's doing to make these albums what they are. Some of the features, some of the style change-ups and such. But I want to leave that right here. Let me get your thoughts on Certified Lover Boy. What are your initial thoughts here? If I was to 1 to 10 rate it or something or grade it, I would say maybe 8.5 or something. Maybe to me, it's really good. And sometimes Drake's albums haven't been seen as being greater than the sum of their parts. Like Drake's able to amass a ton of hits and a ton of great lyrical moments, but for some reason they're not really received as masterpieces in the way that some of Kanye West albums are received. You know, say what you want about who's hot, who's not, who's got more hits, who's trending upward, who's trending downward. Drake's catalog, I mean, singles aside and stuff, right? His catalog isn't as revered as Kanye West. Could we agree on that? But yeah, let me know what you think about Certified Lover Boy. I dig it a lot. Please leave your comments in the comments. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.